What's going on? Waiting for the stream to connect. Hold on. All right, we're looking good. Cool. I think you guys can hear me. And let me know if I'm coming in too loud or too hot. Maybe I need to turn it down just a little bit. Right about there probably is good. But today I'm developing, well, I have been developing the last couple days, I guess, a new website called chatformed.com. And I'll show it to you here in a second. You guys can play with it as I'm developing it. Um, but yeah, it's pretty cool. So you drop in or it's going to be like this. So you drop in any PDF, or you drop in a link to a Google Doc or any other link to a form, and it'll scan it and then set up a chat where you can chat, and then it'll fill out the form. And yeah, and also have uh, the ability to create custom forms and custom chats and stuff like that for people to fill out. And then a way for it'll create a QR code, and they can scan the QR code and see the payment status and stuff like that. Have signature ability in the form, um, and yeah, all online. So it's pretty cool, and yeah, and free. So that's kind of the cool thing. And I was able to set it up where it's a transaction. So it's like 2% plus 30 cents for every Stripe transaction that happens. So if you have a paid form, it'll take a little bit off the top of that. And that's how the service is paid for. Or for $100, you can get a white labeled chatbot where it is a custom URL and stuff like that. It shows your information, um, and also custom personalities and stuff like that for the chatbot. So that's pretty cool. But otherwise, it's free for everybody to use. I'll make myself small here, and we'll get into it. You guys can jump into the chat. Uh, that'd be pretty cool. How big do I want to make myself here? Maybe about that big in the corner. Or should I put myself up top? Nah, I should put myself here because that's where I'm looking. Well, I'm looking over here. Does it look weird? Let me move myself over here. And then I'm going to move this on the other side. Close that. And then I will bring that back up over here. So my idea here, let me move myself over here. My idea is to show you the prompts that I'm going to do in here in this little um, the prompts that I'm doing. I'm going to put them in right here in this notepad. Otherwise, I can't really show you my screen because everything's going to, I mean, I've got sensitive stuff in the server information and passwords and everything that's going to be streaming on the stream. I'm going to be using Haiku, or I'm using Claude Code in the CLI um, on my on my Mac laptop, and I'm just going to drag stuff into the Mac Studios. It's running the OBS on it to stream. And yeah, so you guys are going to see the website stuff. You can test it while I'm doing this, and yeah, have fun with it. It's in beta. It's beta as heck right now. Nothing's going to be working, but that's okay. Go in there and break stuff, and let me know in the chat. You can see in the chat the password and the website. But yeah, come on in. Probably don't got anybody in here right now. We got nobody in. That's good. All right, let me work. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the password, which for today is happysnail, one word, lowercase. I'll type it here so you can see it. That's the password for the website. Bam. All right. And we're in. Let me move this over. Maybe make it small. I can probably make this, what, 18? Can you guys still see that? Let's see. Is that too small? Well, it'll be all right. It's going to be kind of behind anyway. Let's see. Let me get those out of here, and then I can put that in the middle. Bam. Bam. All right, cool. Now, let's play around. All right. So, first, I don't like this. I'll just show you the website, what I got going on here so far. Nice and slow. It's early in the morning, so. All right. Yeah, so you guys can see what I got. So fill out any form in minutes, not hours. Upload PDFs, paste URLs, or copy text. I don't know about the copy text. I'm probably going to change this to, let's do that right now. So I don't know about copying text. I was going to say do a screenshot, but that'd be a really hard wire job. So that probably won't. I'll probably just remove that copy text here. Let me make a note to do that. Actually, let's copy here. All right. I want to remove or copy text. See something like this. I will drop into. I love Mac for just being able to drag my cursor, like the same mouse, right across and paste it in. All right, I'm going to change that real quick. And then chat with the AI. Yeah, see, like right now I'm using Haiku, and for stuff like this, I can keep the context window kind of low. That's kind of a trick I learned to keep things relatively cheap. But right now, until the 31st, there's 2x credits on Claude. I have the pro plan, so yeah, I just kind of switched over to Claude in the CLI, and I really like it. The CLI is command line interface in the terminal. I was using it in Cursor, and man, I was just burning so much money in credits. It was crazy. Because I found myself, I'd use Cursor's agent. Sometimes I called it Dum Dum, and then Haiku was kind of your step up from that, and I was using that a lot of times anyway. And then Sonnet and Opus were really pretty expensive in there, especially when the context window started to get high. So, all right. Let's see here. Let's check on it here. Oh, it's refreshing. You should be able to see it. Okay, so that fixed that. All right, upload PDFs and paste URLs, then chat. I'm just getting warmed up again and into the cycle here. I'll start really jamming some good prompts here. Just get warmed back up here. Upload PDFs or paste URLs, then chat with AI to complete tax forms, employment applications, and rental leases instantly. I put a block on there for immigration forms. I don't want anything that high stakes to be processed. But yeah, and the UPL, unlicensed practice of law stuff, you got to be careful. So, all right. But how I have it set up too is I want these buttons all to open up the chat with context. So, bam, I click on that, like what language do you support? We support over 100 languages. Really? So yeah, so I want it to the chat here to transition the support chat to transition into the normal document chat. Right now, it's kind of two separate things. You know, I got it kind of half built here. You see, there's like two kind of chat interfaces. Let's find like let's find an ATF form. This is a hard one. Let's take this link. Let's see what happens. Ooh. Name template not defined. All right, let's see if I can copy that in here. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Let me put the prompt in here. All right. Let's say, dang, the problem with this is I'd like to be able to do screenshots. Let me get another instance going on up here. I can't drag over screenshots. I could send it, but I don't want to do that. Oh man, come on. Why can't I copy that? Oh, because it's incognito window probably. Okay. $0 tax stamps here in a couple days. If you guys are in that world. All right, let's see here. Bum, bum, bum. Ah. files. Down here. There we go. Okay. There we go. So I just took a screenshot of that and loaded in with the downloads or that link. Let's see what happens. Oh man. See, this is fun for me, but I'm sure it's like watching paint dry. But what's kind of cool is you guys can go in there when anybody actually jumps in the chat. If anybody jumps in the chat, you guys can go in there and test and give me ideas if you want. See if you can understand what's going on. But you can also talk to that little chat support bot and get the lowdown on the system. It's pretty cool. All right. Let's see here. Okay, said it's fixed. Let's try it again. Bam. Oh, this is all password protected right now, but it's all the same password. Okay. There we go. That's pretty cool. So it scans the title of the document. I will probably have it summarize that. Let me copy this and paste it in here. Oh man, why can't I? Oh, it's because it's an incognito window, man. That's really getting annoying. It's gotta be because it's an incognito window. All right, I'll fix that later. All right. I like to. I mean, honestly, the way I do this is like I get like this. This will take me months to do this. Like before I release this to the public, if I release this to the public, if it'll be probably months from now, and like how I usually do. I get extremely OCD on this. Like if I run into a problem with that, like with that title at the top, the OMB number, da 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 da, like it's not too hard to figure out how to get the AI to summarize that and make it clean up there. But the question is like, do I want to tackle that right now or continue on and come back to that later? Kind of the nice thing about vibe coding is I can get anal about it and spend the next 10 minutes probably fixing that. And that seems to be kind of a good way to go. Or kind of write it down. All right, here we go. I'll keep going. Well, you know what? I'll get it working on it while I keep testing. Let me get a prompt going here. You know what? This is the easy way to do it. In this chat session, there is a really long title. Is there any way to have the AI do a summary pass on to try and get it down to 4 words or less. All right, that works. I gotta figure out some more quick commands for the CLI. All right, so that prompt is in. Let's continue on testing here. All right, what's your full name? I forgot to, like, I can just have it, I can just tell it, like, check that chat log. I don't need to give screenshots of everything. I forget a lot of times I can do that. Okay, I gotta plug in this keyboard here. Oops. Okay. Dox myself. Oh, you didn't see it. Thankfully, it's behind the thing. Herdy. I gotta move this so you can see what I'm typing. I don't got anybody in the chat right now, anyway. All right. Herdy dirty. Mm. 1% complete. So there's a lot of information that this form has. Let's see if it can do a summary yet. What information are you going to need? All right, it's doing a pretty good job of. All right, let's go. All right, let's see. 1, 2, 3. Happy Lane. El Paso, Texas. 79908. And let's say P.O. Box. No P.O. Box. Email is happyguy@gmail.com. Firearm details. Let's see what it gets there. Your county. Paso County. What's your time? 915 123 1234. Here goes the next thing, description of firearm A. All right, let's see. See, now I want to know like how much. So, how it should work is it should go and gather information about that form and any nuances and stuff to be able, like any form, any nuances and stuff that are available. In forms like this, there's a lot of information that's available. This is pretty expensive, by the way. Like, this is a free service, but it is like, if I use this system of like doing this, like to do a detailed search is like, I think it's $8 per 1,000 requests. So there are going to be mounting costs in this for sure. but I want it to be really capable and help out people as much as possible. And at the same time, though, the problem is the more capable I make it, the more the errors will be hard to spot and potentially lead to false confidence. That's why I'm saying I don't want to do really high stakes forms in here. I want to screen them out. like like immigration forms, for example. I like, well, see, it's not, this system isn't HIPAA compliant too, because um, Grok, GROQ, who I'm using for this, for the AI stuff, is not HIPAA compliant. I don't think my server would be either, and I don't want to keep up with that. So I don't think I'm going to allow. I'm screening social security numbers right now. I don't think I'm going to allow that to be put in the system. Okay, let's see real quick what I put. Just out of curiosity, social is cool. I couldn't remember if I did that. All right, so you can't collect social security numbers, so it wouldn't print those out. Because I mean, like, I'm not going to database any of the emails. The cool thing about the system is I want it to be email free. I want it to be Telegram, and then automatically post to like the stuff to a Gmail or to a Google Sheet. Create the sheet and update the rows automatically, and then have interface stuff with Telegram, like to be able to scan and make sure something's paid, or and to see the data and what's missing and that kind of stuff for validation things. Because I think of something like this, man, there's so many universal cases where this, like, somebody can come onto the site and use it for free. What a business can use it to gather information for free. Uh, they pay a small percentage if they use it for the 2% plus 30 cents if they use it for taking payments. Uh, but the backside interface, as far as like scanning and verifying like payment and stuff, is going to be really sexy too, because I think of like when you go to you take your kids to a trampoline park, you have to sign the waiver, or you go to Disney World or something like that. You have to sign the waiver, and those forms are really like, the disclaimer is crazy. To read all that at once is like, nobody's ever doing that. So this chatbot will be able to like walk people through that for real, really fast and easy, and be able to sign um, and everything. And then when they get up to the window, they'll have a QR code they can scan, and okay, yeah, all the fields are complete, validation, and it's been paid or whatever. So really fast, really easy, and yeah. So, and then also I have it um, so somebody like to enter form information, they can take a picture with their phone of any of their license or any document that has information on it, and it'll scrape it and use that for the form filling. Um, that's really cool. And then also, and then I really like, for a couple of reasons, I don't want the system to get bloated. I want to make it completely automated. Like, this would be, that's why it's going to take several months, but 3 to 4 months to get this all up, because it's going to be completely automated, like completely. So people will be able to, using the chatbot right now. We can look at that. But using the chatbot right now, they should be able to build the form with the chatbot. So chat builder, interface with the chat builder to um, a chatbot builder to do themes, add logos, all the API work, set up the Telegram bot, etc. So yeah, there's a lot of wiring to be done here. Let's just go through it piece by piece. I'll let my ADD take the wheel. That's kind of the way I roll. But firearm A. What is firearm A? First weapon. Okay, so I mean that's pretty good. You know, like I'm like, what is this field? What's firearm A? And it's like, well, firearm A is the first weapon you're registering, including make, model, caliber, and serial number. What's its description? Okay, that's pretty cool. Should I go all the way through a form 1? Yep, I should. But see, I do want to get this working because, like, for this form, for example, is such a pain in the butt in real life to know, like, okay, did I fill out all these things right? All this might not get it perfect. You're still going to need to check and make sure the form is filled out right. That's what I'm saying for high stakes stuff, but it's going to at least get you in the ballpark and answer questions about the form and any nuances and stuff. Okay, let's continue on here. All right, it's a suppressor, 7 inches, homemade serial. There you go. There is no second gun. Let's see. There, all right, see this I gotta fix. Is only one gun. Okay, all right. So now I'm gonna say, all right, check the chat. Chat logs. It's looping, asking me for firearms. When I answered it, remember it needs to know the context of the entire conversation at all times and be able to recall it. Think on its feet. It should be a good enough prompt. Let me switch the model here. I think I've been on Haiku. You know, I'm going to switch to Sonnet. Only dumb, not dumb dumb. Haiku is dumb dumb. Sonnet is dumb. And I call it Opus Mega. But yeah, you know, Haiku honestly gets it done a lot of the time and it's faster. But when it messes up, it takes time to go back and forth. So it's a trade-off. Not to say that the others don't mess up, but they mess up less. All right. And I wish I could show you the CLI and everything. But man, do you know how long it would take to figure out how to not expose myself completely? And this is going to be, this is going to be a pretty secure service. So I want to take you guys along for the development ride of this. If anybody's interested, it's going to be months, man. Like I'm telling you, there's going to be content for a long time. But I will take your ideas and put them in here. So, and explain to you how I'm doing stuff. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments if you're watching this later. But I definitely will explain to you as I'm going along here how I'm doing stuff in my thought process and how I'm coming up with things. How I'm testing it. I noticed like this, the vibe coding stuff. I mean, obviously, I didn't know how to say hello world, so it's totally enabling for somebody like me that was a ignoramus when it came to coding. But beyond that, I noticed that it follows um, the same way that anything else does. I mean, this is hard work. You just have to hard work, long hours, smart hours. Let's put it that way. Long hours don't mean anything if they're not smart hours. And putting into things, I have a tendency. My biggest problem is I'm just watching the output of this as I'm talking to you. Um, this is working on a prompt. But my biggest problem is that I can, my scope is like I like to shotgun blast at first. I'm like, poof, huge, and then I'll scope down as I'm going. But the problem is that leaves a lot of remnants out there in code land, so that can get a little bit confusing as you're going through things. So I noticed kind of as I'm doing this, as I get closer to completion of, oh, I got some errors in the background here. As I'm getting closer to completing, completing. They're never really, these systems are never complete, but as I'm getting close to a point where it's like, okay, this is launch ready. Um, 1 second. Yeah, I'm going through and doing a lot of cleanup, of test files and test scripts and stuff like that in the background, and things that just can confuse the bot. Making sure that the Claude MD, if you guys don't know what that is, the Claude MD is the file. It's usually what Claude kind of knows to look for it, but it's the markdown file with all the information the bot would need to know about how things are working. Like for mine, I say, okay, the server, I'm using Linode. 1&1 is hosting the website. Linode is the server, and so I say, okay, here the server is king. Server is the source of truth. Then I want to update GitHub, which is a private repo. Update GitHub to be in sync with the server, and then make local in sync. But really, how that usually does it is, it doesn't work locally, and then it pushes to GitHub, and GitHub is auto sync to the server. But I tell it that flow because I want it to always make sure to cycle the bots, Telegram bots, all the bots and stuff like that as I'm developing this stuff. So, yeah. So that's kind of all stuff you put in the Claude MD. Like, okay, here's your strat, because a lot of times they're going to forget their context, and you kind of forgets the flow as far as getting everything, implementing all your changes and things that you're doing, and also you want to put in your key elements that it's working on, or things that, like, okay, if it broke something really bad one time and the wiring is messed up, put in Claude MD and say, like, okay, like, don't touch this again, especially if it does something twice. I never thought I'd be giving videos on how to use AI coding tools. I'm telling you, I was, I think that I'm getting better with it, a lot better. But I still catch myself getting angry sometimes. And here's the danger I find with these tools. And especially when I first started working with these tools, I didn't know what I was doing, and I still don't, but I know more of what I'm doing every day, little by little. So it's less frustrating. But starting out with this, I'm yelling at a computer, with my little meat sticks. I'm yelling at it, you know, saying curse words that I wouldn't say to my grandmother, my grandmother's presence, to a computer. And that's psychologically hard on the human psyche. So, yeah, I think that's, it is almost done here. 1 second. What I fixed. Okay, we'll test it here in a second. Let's see if I can copy this markdown text over. Yeah, cool. Okay. All right, there. It's saying what it fixed here. If you guys want to read that while I'm yakking. I lost my place. Move myself over. But yeah, I was really anti these tools because especially I was seeing how it was affecting me mentally using them, because I think that it's going to be really probably pretty hard to avoid using these tools in the future, just because of their usefulness. I mean, I've built systems already that are handling, you know, quite a bit of money, and they're doing fine, you know. Um, but I think that there's there's some um, there's some risk to, I don't have the typical. Um, I understand it's really weird because with this kind of, you know coding, you're sort of coming in, coding. I don't consider myself coding. I consider this more of like a full stack project Overwatch management. I think the coding aspect has been more or less handled here. You're going at it more from a direct testing, um, R&D directly on the product as it's being developed. Um, but there's a good element to there's a lot to know here and to learn as far as, well, a security and be you know there's going to be a lot to learn. This is going to be probably a fair amount of time spent on this eventually, is like, okay, how can the system handle this much traffic and be efficient and fluid, and really starting, that will be a challenge with a system like this. It's like, okay, now how do we take the bloat back down once we've got all this stuff built? Now we're going to need to take the bloat back down and bloat down in a vibe coded system. So yeah, it takes a lot. This is going to take, several months to develop, and I'm assuming a couple of $1,000s probably worth of uh, tokens and stuff like that when all is said and done. But I don't know. It's hard to say. Um, it's hard to say on that. It could be a lot cheaper and it could be more expensive. But over time, the development costs will stack up because features will be in there. There'll be bug reporting. That's something I got to add in here. But let's keep. Let me see what it actually said here. All right. What was wrong? I wasn't listening when you said there's one gun. There's a second gun. Good. So it can read all the logs and stuff. That's good. What I fixed: updating system prompt, adding explicit instructions, telling the AI listen for phrases like only one second. That's all. Listen for phrases like that. Like that. See, this is the kind of situation right here. Or, it's like, uh, man, these. I can already see like this rule is going to be like somebody's gonna say, "Huh?" Like, huh? Like, what are you talking about, to the bot? And it's gonna be like, wow, I wasn't listening for that praise. So I know I'm going to come back to this problem later. It's going to need to be more conversational, but that conversational aspect always comes with trade-offs. I've had a lot of fun building these bots, and it's hard, but it's cool when you do it all with custom context windows and stuff like that. Um, but the problem is it can trip over itself. You want to. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure game, but you don't want that to be obvious. Like every path that they choose, or kind of every response that they give, not everyone, but several of the responses they give are like choosing paths for the AI. Like it's gonna okay, well, let's say like a form like this. Well, they only have one firearm that they're reporting. I didn't know you could do more than one firearm on the form one by the way. Okay, but anyway, so they have more. Let's say that that's not a flaw right there, but they only have one firearm that they're reporting. Um, so I'm gonna go down this path. I don't need to ask any more questions about the other firearms. I kind of already got that. Um, so this would be like an example of a path that it's going down. But here's the thing: we're building a universal system here. It'd be it wouldn't be easy, but it'd be a much easier thing to build the system to just handle ATF forms or something like that. But this logic needs to be at a higher level than that, and say like, okay, yeah, so that's why I can feed it these examples, but I need to make sure and keep an eye on the system as it's working and building this framework. This is where I really need to pay attention, is that it isn't trying to pigeonhole and only start working, or it's like, well, I'll make an exception for ATF forms and da, 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 da. It's like, no, 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 no. We need to work at the higher echelon here and have that trickle down. But the problem is like those trickle down effects can affect different forms, so you need to be really careful on how you're moving these weights around. You know, like if I make a heavy rule for an ATF form, well, it's gonna when some landlord has a rental application, it could be too heavy-handed on that. So this needs to be it. That's why I'm saying this is gonna take months. This is a lot of tuning back and forth, and why I want to do this on YouTube so you guys can dig in here and show your own ideas, because I'm not gonna think of anything or everything. There's so many different types of forms. I want the custom form creation thing is going to be a big thing, because sometimes it's not just a form. They just need to gather information. They need to gather whatever information, and the customer might be like, well, why do you need my phone number? And you know what I mean? Like, so the system could be just a little helper, like, well, we need your phone number so we can contact you, this and this happens. So it can kind of be used as a system to alleviate concerns about privacy and stuff like that, ironically. um, yeah, I mean, I guess not unironically. you know I mean, my intention with this is hopefully, like, it's going to be a little bit tricky, because I'm going to need to have some visibility into, at least for some portion of it, some sample amount, have visibility into the answers and stuff. So that's something I'll need to work on too. I'm gonna like go back and watch this video later, but something I need to work on too is, just for my screening purposes later on, that I don't want names and stuff to show up, like almost like how the Google truck or the Google 360 camera, the Google Street car, like blurs out faces and license plates. Like I kind of want to have that when for me, for like admin, like when you go in and check stuff, or when Mega here, the Claude goes in and checks stuff later, when there's actual um, information and stuff in there. that they can't see names, that's obfuscated somehow. Um, maybe, I don't know, but I'll at least make it hard for me to see it, or anybody that's working in our system and stuff like that. But it is set up so um, it's a little atypical, I guess, in this regard for like a form website. Like I use Wufoo a lot for forms, and that form retention is, I think, forever for like uploads and stuff. But I'm gonna make all of this 30 days, like a 30-day rolling window, and it'll delete the entire record, um, except for what's posted to Google Sheets or Telegram, obviously. But as far as the actual downloadable record and stuff like that, um, that'll all be cleared out. And then if anybody uses, I think I already mentioned it, but if anybody uses the OCR capabilities, all those would be cleared out immediately. Like I don't want to keep, I don't want anything on the site like somebody's picture or something like that. Like they took a picture of a document or whatever, and then like whatever they had next to it or something like that. Like that would all be kind of exposed, you know, if somebody wanted to see it. Like I don't want the person that is the form person and stuff, like, you know, the person that made the form, I don't want them to have access to that. I don't want me to have access to that. uh you know, it's just weird. You know what I mean? So, and it's just people's data. I'm respectful of that, man. You know, I really do. I just don't want to see it, but I want to make sure the bot's not giving messed up answers and stuff like that at the same time. So it's going to take a lot of tuning, and tuning with real use cases, if that makes sense. Like if you hop on there and test with me right now, before I launch this thing a couple months, I'm gonna look at what you put. So not a problem. You got a password, you know you're testing. Oh man, I don't think I've had one viewer this entire time, which makes sense because it's 2:25 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. But I'm a night owl, so it is what it is. All right, let's see if, I don't know if we can like pick up in the same chat window the updates. I probably can. Let's see. Already answered you. Let's get old nasty back. Might have to have, I put in some prompt injection, kind of prompt engineering protections, but I'm gonna need to work on that. Let's see. Got it. What's your federal firearms license number? I'm not an FFL. Description of firearm F. All right, let's see. Huh? All right, I'm just gonna say check the chat. All right. I see. I really like that. Is cool. You know, for it to be like, okay, just check the chat logs, and it'll go in there and check it. Like this agentic um, stuff is getting really, really pretty good. Um, like there's well, Claude, OpenAI's had it for a little while, but Claude just came out with their little browser extension and stuff for Chrome. Really quite good. And this, I mean, like when I'm in the CLI, it has access to a Chrome browser and stuff. I can be like, well, see, and these are the tools you gotta kind of. This is the crazy thing is these things have access to so many tools, but you don't know what they have access to, and they don't tell you. They'll use the tools that they want to use, unless I realize, okay, I'm personifying this thing, but I don't consider that this thing has any personality. There's no consciousness. There's nothing there. Okay. I just want to put that out there. But yeah, anyway, the system will use the tools the system thinks it wants to use. However, the system is dumb. Okay. Like, it's like this. Okay. Imagine this is how it is for the system right now. Imagine you wanted to build a cabinet. All right. And you needed a wood shop. Well, the system, as far as it knows, it has access to the whole wood shop. All right. Like it can use the rotary tools, it can use grinders, it can use cutoff wheels, it can use the circular saws, it can use the chop saws, it can use everything in that wood shop and metal shop. It can use the whole thing. But for some reason, it's looking at the chop saw and like, bro, I'm gonna use this chop saw and I'm gonna use it to do this fine needlework because I know how to just. It's like, no, bro, use the Dremel tool. So you got to be the one to tell it, like, no, use this tool, and it's going to be a lot faster, and it'll save you tokens and stuff like that. Like, oh, for example, I can't even remember the acronym. SCH? No, it'll come to me. SCP? I can't remember. Anyway, but there's a new, so you use the grep tool, GREP tool is something it uses a lot to search for things. It's really token heavy searching. This new tool is like where it was using a broadsword to get around and search for things. Now it's like a scalpel and it uses far less tokens. However, it doesn't really know that it has that capability yet. And you got to kind of wire things up in your code base in order for that capability to be sexy and used. So you can do that ahead of time. I haven't really done that much here, but you can do that ahead of time and really be ahead of the curve, further on down the project. So that's kind of what I mean. These tools are extremely functional, but they don't really know it. So I mean, they can be scary and be like, "Oh, I can pull out," and they'll pull out the tool bag, and you're like, "Dang, I didn't even know you had all that." That's pretty common. But at the same time, like once you've seen it use that tool, be like, kind of make a mental log, like, okay, now I know that that tool's available. You know what I mean, and be able to pull that out next time when it starts to use more of a common tool. When you see it using the chop saw when it should be using the Dremel or vice versa, stop it. Tell it, okay, this is where. So that's what I mean. This is a much more of a 30,000-foot view in monitoring somebody working and stopping, because really, like, this thing it really is like an idiot with a chainsaw going through your code base every single time. Okay. So you gotta like I know it's gonna like here's a good example. I've been driving with comma.ai, it's open pilot system, since like 2016. I was like one of the first 100 people with the system. And I'm not saying I know everything about that system. I don't. There's so many people that know more about it, especially now. But I pretty much know how it's gonna mess up at any given point. You know what I mean? Like I pretty much know, like, okay, this curb, it's always been dicey with this curb. So I know to like take extra special precaution. And so when, like, as I'm going as I get more advanced in the code base and it gets more advanced in the code base, because it forgets all of the work it's done before. It gets stupid again every time. I need to know, like, okay, in this section, this happened before. Likely, it's going to get confused in the same thing. And even if you say, like, Okay, that webhook is deprecated. Get rid of it. Forget about it. Never think about it again. Guess what? It's still in the Git history. It's going to find it. It's going to remind you about it. Be like, well, I got to pull from here. And it's like, no, dum dum. That's old. So you got to know, like, you're the master of the train. And yeah, that's just the way it is. Um, I, I don't know how else to put that, but it's an interesting dynamic. Getting back to the what I was saying about the human psyche. Okay, I've noticed that when I first started working with these tools, like in the summer, maybe through the first 3 months, um, man, like these were it was really getting me angry. Like I was getting worked up about it. I think in this season, the thing to remember, especially with these tools, is like they're dumb. You're smarter. Don't listen to the hype. You're always going to be smarter, period, dude. Humans have dominion on the earth. God gave man dominion on the earth that isn't going to change, even though man is deceived into thinking something else has dominion. That never changes. Okay, here's the real deal. I'm thinking about this. It's always going to be chasing nines. We are going to keep building these tools, and they're never going to be perfect. There's no AGI. Somebody's going to say AGI, and the other guy's going to say no such thing as AGI. And that's going to go back and forth forever, and there will never be consensus. Therefore, there will never be AGI. Because something like AGI does require consensus, total consensus. And even though the Bible says things like, people will say, well, who can make war with the beast? And probably talking about something like this. Still, man has dominion. All right. That's not going to change. We've been given dominion over the earth, and we mess up that gift every day. So that isn't going to change until the Lord comes back. But I have no doubt that this is going to be, just highly destructive in general to men's psyches, especially in the process of the adoption of the technological processes and the tools. And it's probably been that way to some extent, I would imagine, for tools throughout history. I don't know. I'm a young gun, I'm only 42. But I would imagine that there's always been some sort of mental load that comes along with that. This one's just particularly steep because um, this is probably, see, here's the weird thing. This is so deep, but I do a lot of thinking about this just because I'm working with this stuff. But it's like I think this is probably the the image spoken of in Revelation 13. When I say this, I mean AI in general, the whole cloud, is probably the beast spoken about in Revelation 13. And it says that, I'm just saying this is the beginning precursors of it. Um, is that, that it causes all men who would not worship, and that just means kiss the ring, worship the beast, to be killed. And that word killed, um, in the Greek, uh, according to Strong's, can also mean like financially cut off, killed, like just financially dead. So like if you're not, I mean, how I read that is because it says, and there was a image that was given breath to speak, that was given breath to speak, and it's like that doesn't apply to anything in history. That prophecy is fulfilled now. Okay, it is fulfilled. I'm not saying that it's a fulfillment of that prophecy. I'm just saying, like, I can look and say, like, okay, there is, you know, what people in history would have referred to as a golem, able to speak now and influence man. We are programmed by natural language, and we're programming these things now by natural language. But we are programmed by natural language too. So we're being programmed too by this, essentially what is a golem. I'm using these mystical words and stuff from the past, intentionally, like golem and things like that. And I can say things like the beast from Revelation, and the mark of the beast and things like that. I mean, the beast. If you want to like what I actually think about the name of the six, it says, "Here is wisdom, here is understanding. Let him understand the number of the beast, for is the number of a man. And here's wisdom, here's understanding. The person with most wisdom and understanding in the Bible was Solomon. Um, and it's in Second Kings and somewhere else where it talks about Solomon bringing in 666 talents. That's roughly $1 billion today, um, in gold a year. So it was a mark of greed and lasciviousness and human desire. That's what 666, the mark of the beast, is. So we're kind of all marked, you know. Not kind of. I think we all, greed and uh, uh, right, to some extent, sexual, uh, like promiscuousness, I guess you would say, not promiscuousness, but errant sexuality, I guess you would say, would be another mark of that. But you say, like, who is the beast? It's probably man, and like what would become, and like this image of us, like AI is us, you know what I mean? Like a collective, and that's our image speaking. And now the image is like reflecting back and programming us to essentially believe in, yeah. It's pretty interesting. I don't know how I got off on this tangent, but it's interesting stuff. But then now I can here's the thing, and I'm smiling because I'm piecing these things together. And I was on the phone with my dad the other night. He's like, Eric, Snail, sorry. he's like he's like, Snail, how are how are you excited about this and things like that. And like for me, this comes down to I don't think I really, what Paul said about nothing being evil in and of itself. That is, it can't be more true than right now with this. I mean, you're looking at a tool that is a tremendous blessing. However, it goes against a curse. And this is a curse I think that God put on us. Um, a curse, even in God's eyes, is coming from a place of love. I don't think he can curse and not love at the same time, or even hate and not love at the same time. I don't think that's possible for God, with how amazing he is. So, um, let me pause my glasses here. That's 2025. Um, but yeah, the curse is that we work by the sweat of our brow and earn our food that way. And he said that to Adam when he expelled him from the garden. Okay, but this curse, this is my take. This is written, but I think that was in love. Um, not just because Adam disobeyed and okay, let's spank Adam for the rest of his life or something like that. No, it's like man needs something to do. That part of our identity. And I understand the argument that what we do being who we are, as our identity is a problem. As in the idea that is who we are is not ideal. you know. So perhaps that's a good thing that's coming. But um, God is a respecter of, I don't want to say he's not a respecter of man, but he understands how man actually is. That's why Eve came in. He's like, it's not good for man to be alone. I can see it. Eve, make Eve. The same thing, so he could see that it would not be good for Adam to live like he lived in the garden. Okay. He needed something to do like this. Maybe not necessarily as part of his identity. Maybe that wasn't supposed to be overlaid on that, but it was something to do, and that's a gift. So you can say in this case, and there's also parts, I have to look it up, but that God gives us all things to do, and God gives us labor and things like that as a gift. So that curse is a heavy word, but it comes out. These things can oftentimes, at least from what I found, it can also be truly gifts. So, I hear that, going back to AI, the problem is that this is what my dad, his main take, and I understand this, I empathize with it, is that, okay, well, what are people going to do? And yeah, this is where I kind of smile, because I look at, so I've had a long running business, document preparation business, and I've recently fully automated the thing. Not fully. I mean, there's some parts, and here's the interesting thing. Okay, I don't know necessarily who AI will replace, but I can definitely see that it will enhance anybody that wants to be enhanced by it. That's what I can see. I don't know yet who it will replace, even though I know people are losing their jobs. I suspect, not in all cases, it's going to be a net negative probably, but I suspect that a lot of these companies are going to end up with piles of cash potentially and want to reinvest in human labor because humans are interesting and machines aren't. Like, I have a partner in that document preparation business that's been going on since 2012, and it's all digital. It's all done online. It's online money. It's great. Okay. The thing is that, like, I told him, like, I don't say his name. He's been doing this, um, but pretty much he's been the one running it, managing it, almost the entire time, doing the customer service, doing the form preparation, all that kind of stuff. So he's been doing it. Um, you know, this really, I mean, for me, from my perspective, I spent the last couple months building the system out for that business, and it, I mean, it, I spent a few $1,000s developing a system that was already automated for me. Like, I already wasn't doing anything with it. He was already handling all that. But in my head, um, and this is kind of fun. This is what I'm saying. This stuff isn't a curse. This is a blessing. Because here's what I'm being raw with you guys. But I was like, okay, Lord, this is my prayer. And this is really how I felt about this into most of this project. This is where my headspace was. I'm not saying I pure in this and I'm totally good, but this is where my headspace was. Is, Lord, my partner, insert name here, has been doing this, has been working at this for years, you know? And it's not hard work, but it's like, you know, 2 a.m. a form comes in, do it. It's just odd times throughout the day. Going to take a pee, form comes or order comes in. All right, let's do it. Like that. Just for years, and always on top of customer service and things like that. Like, the only reason that business is successful is because my partner has spent that much time. I mean, I'm ADHD riddled with it. Long haul managing business, not my thing. But for him, he built that entire the customer base, the the reputation, all of it is owed to him. If that wasn't there, like what I'm building right now with this website, this chatformed, is, well, I have a little bit of an advantage to launch it because I have you guys who somebody might eventually watch this, or I have that other business to leverage and things like that. People who are filling out forms, so I have a little bit more advantage than others. But I'll tell you, here's what AI doesn't solve. It's hard work. Like if I build this system, all right, if I build this thing, realistically, it's going to take me a few months to build this out to a point where I feel like I want to release it and don't crap my pants at night thinking about this thing being in the wild. Okay. So that's a few months. Next, you have the tuning. Okay. And then that's like a few months on top of that. And then really all the time during that and afterwards. I mean, even though I'm going to make this as fully automated as I can, like where it's doing blog posts automatically, it's updating X automatically, any customer service is done in here automatically. It's not coming to me. There'll probably be a feedback loop to Claude so it can fix problems automatically, that kind of stuff. This is all going to be built in. It's going to take a few months, but here's the thing, man. I mean, this thing, I got to be able to sleep at night with this thing running. So that's the key. But you're talking about months of hard work to build this. That's just to set it up, and then I'm gonna have to have some oversight on this forever. So this isn't like I don't know how to explain this, man. I'm trying to put this into words. Nothing's changed. That's what I'm trying to say. It is okay. These tools are great, but somebody has to man the ship. Going back to the document curve. Okay, before an order came in, my partner would have to prepare the forms, prepare the email, any copy paste that was done, any selection of the templates, whatever, dude. It was like 20 different steps. Now it's just like order comes in, bam, 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 fire, email, sent. It's very cool. Now it's like, okay. He's like, well, okay, and it's instant, so orders doubled. Orders doubled, being instant, which is awesome. So speed, people actually cared about. We were this entire time, we could have automated a long time ago. We are like, well, this is my late train of thought. Okay, as far as the document preparation business, which kind of has carryover with this, I used a lot of what I built over there and said inspired for this. But here's my thinking for years, because I could have paid a developer a while ago, they actually knew what they were doing. Been like, okay, here's $20,000, man. Automate this entire system, and he would have spent months doing the thing, and he would have automated it. Could have done that a few years ago. My thinking was, and partner's thinking, well, at least I talked him into it. Like, well, people care. People care about this stuff being done by humans. Listen, automated schmotomated. We're charging a heavy fee. do it by hand. Okay. Now, fast forward a few years. Thankfully, the development cost is I can do it. See, realistically, before, if any developer that would have been building our system, I would never have been satisfied. I would have annoyed the crap out of him. And eventually, they're just like, whatever, dude. I don't want to deal with this guy anymore. Because just because like the system is never done. Like you get somebody on before, you either hire a dev, like permanent hire, um, which is expensive, but was nice because you could just have them tasked on other projects and stuff. However, dev salary, you know, 70, 80 G's a year. Okay. Or you can pay $200 a month for Claude Pro and get it done to your standard. And you're going to be, see, here's the thing too. Like, if you're working with a dev, you think, okay, you know, humans doing this, that's easier than having an AI do it. Here's the problem. It's not. It's slower to work with a person, and I have to really explain what I'm doing minutely. And I have to worry if they're pissed when I make a correction. Everybody gets pissed having to make a correction. I don't care what you're doing. Okay, you can put a smile on your face. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Oh, heck, we get that question all the time. Everybody gets pissy when they have to make a correction, even when they're getting paid for it. It doesn't matter. And everybody's aware that everybody gets pissy when they have to make a correction, even when they paid for it. So I'm just saying there's real dynamics here that make these tools like hard to compete with for some people. You know what I mean? That's just a straight dope. um, I've jumped around a lot here. Had a lot I wanted to say on the subject, evidently. Uh, all right. Where are we at? Let's continue our testing. Man, I get long-winded when I'm making YouTube videos. I just, I don't know how to put into word, like, I think I have a pretty good understanding of at least what um, you know, John and the Isle of Patmos was seeing in the weirdness of it with the AI stuff. I don't understand anything. Most of what he was talking about in Revelation, but just imagine without perspective writing on something like that and how you would explain it. I think it was pretty succinct. And the thing is, though, is like once you say that, it's like, okay, well, this thing's here and people are using it. And, you know, Eric, Snail, you're not running for the hills and avoiding it. That's weird. That's a weird take. And I get that. I get that. And I don't want to play the card like, oh, you can't avoid these tools. I mean, I say that kind of sort of tongue in cheek. The fact is you can avoid these tools. The question is, should you? And answer is, I don't know. I think it's a person by person thing. And here's where I think people need to kind of think too. Is that, man, you're able to be so much more productive with these things, but that doesn't mean you need to be, if that makes sense. Like we have a thing, you know, especially in the US with hyper productivity, you know, and I love what I do, you know. I love working. I love the Snail Shack. This is where I am like 80% of my waking hours at least. Right here. You know. I like what I'm doing. And I obsess over this stuff because I love it. Love is a strong word. I reserve that for the king. But you understand what I'm saying. I really like what I'm doing. It doesn't feel like work to me. But I can also see like, okay, these things are like, I guess that's that's what I'm trying to say. Is like, you're productive for whose sake and for what? Do you love what you're doing? Do you like solving these types of problems, or does it really not matter? If it's just for money, um, I think that's going to end up being a motivation that changes for a lot of people. Money's going to go either one of two ways, and this is going to be a very polarizing thing. It's either going to be very easy for you to make money, or it's going to be damn near impossible. I mean, it will be feast or famine with this stuff. If you have, and I don't want to say like if you know about how to use these tools, you're going to make money. That's never guaranteed. It's going to come down to hard work and hustle, as it always does. But here's what I'm telling you is that people are using this stuff and are hustlers. And if you don't have both of those elements, if you're using these tools and you're not a hustler, you're a hustler and you're not using these tools, you are screwed, my friend. I'm telling you. Like, if you got both of those elements, people are going to be able to outwork you. There's not going to be any resting on laurels anymore. Dude, you're going to have sharks at every nipping at your feet all the time, which is good for the market because, look, you got to keep developing. And here's the nice thing is that these tools will allow any layman to keep developing. You know what? I want to talk about one more thing for this. This is all for posterity for me. I'm just kind of noticing at the end of the year. Okay, 2025. So we're going into 2026. The final thing I'll say about this that I don't know where it's all going is pricing. People talk about, they're like, okay, well, the cost of intelligence is going to drop to near zero. What is it? Moostalk or whatever it is. Talks about that, and that's about right. You know, I think the cost for intelligence is going to drop to near zero, and the cost for human intelligence is going to drop to a negative, and that's what he says, and that's probably true. Like, people will pay not to use humans to think about things in some circumstances. I agree with that. But man, it doesn't like they're missing these people that talk about AI are missing some things. For one, most of them are unbelievers. Not all of them. Like, you got like a John Lennox. He's a believer, and he understands, a lot of these things. So, yeah, I just think they're evolutionists. They don't understand that they're created, and from that flawed premise, you can't possibly understand the fact that there will never be something on this earth before it burns up anyway, that has dominion on it, other than humans. I mean, you have spiritual powers, rulers in the heavenly places, i.e., Satan, that influences us and coerces our dominion by the minute. But that doesn't take away the fact that we have it. And now to say that, like, this tool, maybe the argument would be, you flip that back around at me and say, well, if everything you're saying is true, then maybe Satan is using this tool to do that same coercion. And I'd say, like, the devil, all he has is he's a liar. He's a counterfeiter, he's a liar. That's it. He's a liar and the father of lies, as Jesus would say. He doesn't have dominion. He doesn't have it. You do. you know? The devil does not have dominion. He lies to you and says he has dominion, or lies to us. I'm included in that, of course. So yeah, and we believe his lies. That's the problem. Okay, it's not that he actually has dominion. That's been broken. So yeah, it's the same, and that's going to go with AI or anything else. Nothing will supersede our dominion because it is God given. There's no higher power that could be that would give that dominion. Okay. pricing. Here's the thing. Like we got hit up by somebody the other day in the document creation business, and they're like, "Well, we'd like to integrate with your business, and we'd like to, integrate." And hey, I just made got the API stuff set up, and now integration no problem. But he said, "Well, by the way, and I came back to him. I said, "Hey, look, it's $44, $44 a form. That's the dealer price for this stuff, and or $44 a production." He said, "I don't want to lowball you. This other company's offering me 29." It's like, all right, I see what's going on. Okay, so what happened is that this guy, uh, a person in the industry, sidestepped and said, "Okay, well, I'm going to get into document creation space, and I'm going to use ChatGPT, just like we're all doing." Not ChatGPT, whatever. I just use that as a euphemism, but use agentic AI to build their system, and you can tell instantly. I mean, it's not hard. You go on somebody's website, you can, if you use these tools, you can tell pretty quick. So it's like, okay, so here's what happened. This guy gets on there, immediately builds a website, builds a competing service with people, like people that we're already plugged into. We're already an enabling service for other people in that space, for other businesses. So we already have API integrations going on, and yeah, so immediately he comes in, spends like $1,000 to develop a system. Let's say he spent $1,000. Probably didn't spend that much in credits. Develop a system that people spent years developing and and growing. So and this is what and I those people that spent that much time, I was like, 44 is my price to them. I'm you're a new guy on the block. I'm giving you the same price. And I wasn't insulted by him. He was just giving me the straight dope. But the thing is like people are going to be able to come in and start dropping prices down like that, and that caused me and my partner to spend like half a day discussing. We're like, is our pricing structure messed up? If we drop these prices, like cut them in half, like we can do that. Here's the thing, for us, the our calculations aren't on the document preparation themselves. It's on the long customer tail with the documents that we prep of customer service that goes along with it. It's like a really long tail. You don't know how long. It's years and years. Maybe they're going to come back 5 years from now and say, "Hey, can you help me fix it?" Whatever. So that's where we're counting on. So, but in this automation economy, you those kind of calculations all of a sudden get weird. And I can once again, I can account for most of that with automation, but customer service in a lot of these, especially when you're charging those kinds of dollars, and like the impetus is to say, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drop the price. I'm going to cut the price in half again, and then I'm going to automate even another layer of customer service because I'm going to double in volume, if I drop the price. Hypothetically, but see, that has a cap too. The problem is like none of these calculations are easy to make for people in pricing who have been in business. Like, for example, that business that I'm talking about right now, we've been in business for 13 years in that business. And it really becomes like, even in a two-man operation, it becomes like moving a cruise ship, not a little schooner, you know? When you got to make a move, you're making a big move. You're not, so then I want to say a fly-by-nighter because I'm that kind of guy too. I'm developing new stuff too. But somebody comes like into the market and shakes things up all of a sudden with the actual, uh, Before people would like I want to say me because I've done this too. Come in and you talk a big game, get the confidence, get the contract, whatever. Okay, I get it. Well, before you'd be like somebody would be able to write you off because you didn't have the architecture, you didn't have the system. Now it's like, well, this guy's got the system, you know, and so their pricing offer is actually valid. You know what I'm saying? I can't just completely shrug him off. But here's the calculation you need to make, and this is a calculation you're making with my partner. He made the offer, and I said, no, dude. You know what? I'm gonna stick with the 44. I'm gonna stick with my original pricing model. I'm thankful that we had a partner to bounce this off of, man, because there's gonna be real high pressure situations to drop prices. I could have said, well, all right, you know what? I'm gonna match the competitor. I don't know if that was actual competitor pricing for wholesale, but I said, okay, I'm gonna match what the competitor told you, and we're gonna go head to head. But then I would need to renegotiate my contract with the other guys, a few hundred other affiliates, renegotiate those contracts, and then try and hope that there's going to be the volume. But here's the thing: in a lot of these niche industries, there is a finite amount of volume. I can't just cut prices in half and expect volume to double, and then everybody else is going to do the same thing. No, 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 no. It doesn't work like that. You do start losing money. You know what I'm saying? Um, I mean, to an extent. I mean, sometimes you can do that, and you can gain more market segment. More people are interested because you've all of a sudden dropped the prices, but that has a cool off period. So I don't want to say keeping prices artificially high is the way to go. It's just that, man, people have real bills to pay long term, and yeah, that's going to need to be compensated for. So I think in this world, in this, and I'm tempted to do this myself. This is kind of what I'm going to sign off with, at least for this episode one. Um, is that, man, I think it's tempting to just, I can drop prices, like, therefore I should, to create these documents that I'm talking about in the other business. Now, essentially, are free. Essentially, I mean, there's server costs and stuff like that, but it's essentially free. Okay, so little that it's crazy. Um, but that is not where the cost calculation or the price calculations come in. Okay, because the cost of living is not going to be free, people. The cost of living is going up, even though things are going to get cheaper. Ancillary things are going to get cheaper. Food's not getting cheaper. Rent's not getting cheaper. Your car isn't getting cheaper. Your insurance isn't getting cheaper. No major expenses getting cheaper ever. So you have to keep that in mind. Health insurance, all these things, because it is going to be tempting to say, like, okay, well, I can drop these prices and I can just build another tool. Everybody thinks that there is another customer, and I tend to agree with this. Is that if I can sell one, I can sell a million. That's true to an extent. Don't bet on it. Don't drop prices artificially like crazy right now. There was a time for that, and I've been that guy. They'll come in like, I'm going to burn this market to the ground and do the whole thing. Okay. But that was competing on rational levels. Okay. Now people can come in and build a system that will technically, and I'm using their word carefully, technically compete with somebody who built a system over years. But what they do not understand is that there are very complex personal relationships that are the only thing that makes any business actually work. Okay. And how far that those personal relationships spider and how they spider is the masterpiece. But that is what makes a business work, and the time spent in the system, not the system itself. So people don't understand that, and then they're going to come in like yahoos, drop prices, and then be like, dude, I don't want this workload. And then they're going to be like, well, I can't automate that. You mean now I got to answer 100 customers a day, nuanced customer questions a day? I don't want that. You know what I mean? And just drop it after they've already killed the market. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, if you're going to be the jackass, and I've been that jackass, that's going to come in and try and kill the market, you better be in it for the long haul. and support the new customer base that you're stealing from people. And I don't want to use that. I'm using that word nicely. Business is business. But look, if you sheep steal, because you can now, you better support those people. That's it. I'm gonna leave it at that. That's some nuanced stuff on AI that you haven't heard anywhere else. I guarantee it. That's about 6 months worth of thought right there. Episode 2 sometime. Let me know if anybody actually watches this video all the way through. I'll be very impressed. I love you. Here's the thing. Jesus, mentioned him a few times, loves us most. He really does. He went all the way up to Calvary and gave himself for you and me. You don't know him. I don't know him. I want to, and probably so do you. But I'll tell you this. He knows you and he knows me. And even knowing our filth, he did all that. And he still loves us and offers his hand every moment of every day if we'd only take it. The Lord bless you and keep you, and make his face shine on you and be gracious to you, and may he look upon you with his great favor and give you his great peace. Happy New Year.